Okay, good evening. Welcome to the March 13th meeting of the Historic Architectural Review Board for the City of Scranton. My name is Michael Muller, and I am the board chair. I'd start with a roll call.
Hello, I'm Katie Carney. I'm the historian.
I'm Katie Gilmartin, member at large.
Conrad Bosley, real estate broker.
John Finnerty, solicitor.
Thank you for that. We do have a quorum, so I'll call the meeting to order. First agenda item is a review of last month's meeting minutes, February 13th. I was not present, but I do see some possible edits here. Katie or Conrad, can you share those?
Or I think under new business, approval of application for signage at 320 Mulberry Street, it says Mr. Bosley made a motion seconded by Mr. Lesniak to approve the project, but we in fact tabled it, which is noted here, but that should just be corrected that the motion was made to table.
Okay. And second? There's a second edit?
Yeah, yes. Next. I am wondering if in the next two, Jacob, I think you did these for us, if I'm remembering correctly. Did you intend to include the name of the applicant in the first sentence?
Mike.
Oh, I apologize. Thanks, Chris. Did you intend to include the name of the applicant, or should the sentence end? It says approval of application for signage at 532 Lackawanna Avenue for the replacement of a sign for Mr. Lesniak. So should we omit for and simply say approval of a sign, period? Yep. Okay. So that's both of those, the 532 and the 612 Jefferson, both need that same correction. Okay.
The only way they let you pay the bills is if you have to manage it, so try to get us quick
Yep.
as possible.
No, very good. Those are minor changes.
Great.
Important changes, so thank
Yep.
you. Assuming those edits are included, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve them as amended.
Okay, is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, into our applications. We have two applications tonight. The first is for a project at the address 721 Adams Avenue. Is anyone here for that? Okay, yep, we'll table that one. Do we need a motion to table?
I'll make a motion to table because there's no one here to review the application with.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Conrad. All in favor?
Aye.
I will abstain. This is a district property, correct?
Yes. Okay, motion carries.
Northeast.
Second application is for a project at 320 Mulberry Street. You guys are here for that. If you'd like, join us at the podium to introduce yourselves in the project. And I believe there's a hard copy that we've been given. Yes, there it is.
Scott Kegris Outdoor Advertising. My position there is the COO.
I believe you were here last month, and I apologize, some of us were not. So if you wouldn't mind just introducing the project again.
Sure. There's an existing billboard sign that we purchased from an individual who also has a perpetual easement under the land. And I was under the impression I had the ability to convert these static panels to digital panels. And in doing so, there was a stop work order in the city to stop the project, which we did immediately. And then after, review and talking to code enforcement and planning, they recommended that I come to the HARB, speak to you guys, and seek approval to do the digital conversion. That it looks standard and allowable in the zoning ordinance itself, but we still have to go through the process of obviously your guys' approval as well. So. And if you do have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer anything.
I think our questions last month centered primarily around the zoning concerns and the confusion there, and that has been clarified. John, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I did speak to Don King today about the zoning, and he had indicated that the billboard was in place before the new zoning ordinance was approved recently. So he said it's a permissible existing non-conforming use is how he described it. So that it's not a zoning issue at this point. I believe you did apply for a building permit or a sign permit before you began the construction, is that right? He indicated that there was some kind of a permit application submitted.
Not that I'm aware of. I know that there was a permit application previously for electrical and
Right,
and
that's
things
the
of
one
that
he was
nature.
referencing,
Yes,
yeah.
we do have permits for the work.
When was that permit application?
I think it was in April, and that was by another outfit who I purchased the billboards from. So again, I'm not sure if that is valid. If I would have to go through that process again, I'm more than happy to do so, whatever you guys want me to do. But there was an approval at one point in time for a permit, yes.
So was that electrical permit, what was the intent of that project?
So my understanding when I purchased it, it was for the ability to put up the digital billboards. And then, so I purchased that permit to put them up and then found out that there was a giant misunderstanding between what was sold to me and then what also, the city was aware of and what was going to take place.
Okay, because Mr. King made it sound like the city was under the impression that maybe that sign had previously been illuminated and you were just doing like a new transmission or a transformer there.
Okay.
I don't know, was the sign previously illuminated?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. I know that it was like wired, it looked like, for illumination, but I had recollection of the sign for like 2 years at the most, so I'm not sure. It's been there for a very long time, and I have the original permit too, if you guys would like to see that as well.
Okay, so you're not aware of whether there was lighting on that sign before?
I'm sorry?
You're not aware of whether there was lighting to that sign before?
I am not positive,
Okay,
but I know that there's a permit for it from the city.
okay. But it didn't come before this board?
What's that?
It
Sorry.
didn't, there was no application for approval from the HARB board before, correct?
No, but the city did grant an illumination permit for it for Mr. Jerry Joyce, who owned the sign at the time, which was, I believe, in April. I probably have it here in my notes if you want me to look for it.
April of last year?
Of, yes, 2024.
Okay. And was there any work performed pursuant to that permit?
I don't believe so. All the work was done after I purchased it and started to, convert it to a digital billboard on both sides.
Okay, because I think that permit would probably have been expired if it was issued in April of last year.
Yeah, I'm not sure. We could pull the permit and get the exact dates on it. And again, I'm happy to reapply or whatever you guys feels necessary, but I don't know. Some permits last a year. One thing that I did do is I called the city twice just to confirm that I was able to do this application, and the two people that I talked to said, yes, you can go ahead and do the work, but I think it was their understanding that it was for the electrical aspect of it. But I did make 2 calls to the city and get confirmation that I could do the work, but there was, again, a giant misunderstanding in what the permit was allowing us to do.
Yeah, I think there definitely was a misunderstanding, because even if it was to upgrade the electrical, I think you would have had to come back in front of this board to get approval before the permit was issued.
So, I mean, it's worth noting that the purpose of this board is, as an advisory role, to protect the historic character of the downtown. And unfortunately, this site is within the jurisdiction of the historic district and this board. And, I'm sure you can appreciate that we don't like digital billboards. They don't contribute to the character of the downtown, nor do they promote pedestrian-friendly cities. And I think the city has been doing a lot of work to promote walkability, and I think the sign just pushes it in the wrong direction. And while there are examples downtown of digital billboards, they're not in our footprint, and they haven't been approved by us. So I'm not sure I feel comfortable saying this is something I would vote for, but I don't know if you guys have comments.
John, another concern I raised, which I think you addressed in some of the information you shared with us earlier today, last month, was also being consistent in our position on this board. And I recall that we denied an application not too long ago for a digital sign at a property on Courthouse Square. But the other two that I think are referenced in some of the information associated with this application did not come before this board. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's the information that I got from Mr. King today. One was signed permit issued back in 2008, and I think the other one was in 2014. And apparently the HARB board was not in operation at either one of those times.
Well, in addition, they're not within the footprint of the HARB. So even if the HARB were operational, they still would not have been in the jurisdiction.
2 of them are in the HARB jurisdiction.
Our boundary is Mulberry Street, so the one you reference on Mulberry is on the other side, and the one by Duncan's actually outside the city proper. Mifflin's our jurisdiction.
The one right across, like, the street here is not?
Correct.
Okay. Sorry, I misunderstood your map, I guess.
That's right. So I don't know if there's other information you want to share. I know.
Sure, if you don't mind. I realize this is, but I thought it'd be worthwhile, I don't know if it's worthwhile to show you guys the original permit application that came through, but the zoning ordinance as well, because I know there is an approval process after this, but it seems clear that if we are following the zoning ordinance, it says that any sign whatsoever is permitted to change, whether it's conforming or non-conforming, within the zoning ordinance here at the City of Scranton. If you just review that section real quick, but the 8.7 illumination of signs, C, permitted signs may include any electronically changing message except for those signs prohibited by section 8.9 below, which if you read all those, that it doesn't pertain to that. But the way the zoning ordinance is written in the interpretation of it is this would be a permitted use, at least by my attorney's recommendation. And I think at this point in time, that's all that I'd like to share that would maybe be meaningful for you.
Yeah, I don't dispute the language here. I think the question this board addresses is whether something is historically appropriate for the downtown.
Yeah.
So our job is to recommend back to the city whether we think something is appropriate.
It's Electric City, though. Come on.
Sure.
Let's light it up.
Yeah, I get it. So I don't know if you have anything else to add. I know you're here for probably this application because there's nothing else on the agenda. If you'd like to speak. Yeah.
Donald Romano, property owner at 317 Linden Street. Some of you were here last meeting when I came, and I just really want to come to just, one, hear what the applicant has to say, and share the information that I was given through PennDOT, through a right to know request. I think it's relevant. Just no matter where it goes, they choose to appeal to another level. I just think for the record, I'd like to share with the board my findings. I think it's relevant.
Thank you, sir. We'll share.
We'll share. Conrad and I get along beautifully.
Thanks. The second piece here.
Thank you.
The first copy is what I was referencing at last month's meeting. When I purchased the building in 2013, I filed the right to know request. Shame on me, I misread it, put it in a file, and thought it was a dead issue. But then after taking further look at it, the sign permit on page 4, well, I guess we can start on page 3. Jack Sweeney, zoning officer at the time, acknowledged that there's a permit application from 2009 to Kevin Joyce regarding the billboard at 320 Mulberry Street, included the application and the permit making a very odd thing in the letterhead saying, I made some inquiries regarding the zoning hearing board and was told that this did not need to go to the zoning board because at the time the property was one with 317 Linden Street and did not require zoning approval. Yes, in 2009, the billboard owner and the owner of the building were the same person. However, I own it now. I can't put an off-premise billboard on it without zoning approval. You couldn't then, so just weird that he put that in there. But when I looked at the next page at the time and I saw the sign permit, I'm like, all right, they have a sign permit. I never noticed until recently, the sign permit is for 800 James Avenue, the former owner's business address. The project description is a one-faced 14-foot by 48-foot sign to be mounted in a new billboard structure, which is off of 81 on the side of the highway. Clearly, you're not going to put a 48-foot billboard on Mulberry Street. You'd be taking half the road up. So just for the record, that was the right-to-know request I received then. Since then, I filed another right-to-know request with the City of Scranton, which unfortunately, I don't have all the copies of that, but I can send them to the board after this meeting. But the letter's right here, pretty much telling me February 19th, your request is granted as part of, there was nothing in the file. So they had nothing on file with the city. You can verify that, which I'm sure you did with Don King, or if you didn't, feel free to, and I could share the information with the board. So just odd, city must have made an error. 2014, they provided information that was not for that billboard. Now they're saying there's zero information in the file. So today we received back the right-to-know request from PennDOT, which is the second packet of information, which is pretty interesting. First page, July 16, 2024, Tom Oleski wrote a letter to PennDOT verifying a signed permit number for that location. After talking to Tom Oleski today, not only does that signed permit number not exist, he never wrote this letter. So I'm not sure how that happened, but Tom Oleski said if you guys wanted to call him at the meeting to verify that. Like I said, I don't know how relevant it is for where this is going to go, but just to put it on the record, a letter from the City of Scranton was submitted to PennDOT, which is not, it's false. So somehow that happened. The signed permit that came back from 2008 is showing, barely read it, 11-foot by 28-foot illuminated billboard to be mounted in the front. So a one-sided digital billboard back then, which clearly this permit is irrelevant because it was never put in. To answer the board's question before, in the 12 years I've owned the building, there has never been any lights on that billboard structure. So if he didn't go to zoning, but if the city in 2008 gave this permit, it's expired, it was never done. And that's actually the permit number that he's referencing in the letter, which, if this permit is legitimate, it's expired and it doesn't matter. The other thing is just a letter to PennDOT, which just seemed odd to me that was in the file. And if you go through the rest of the stuff that was in there, just the dates from when PennDOT was advised that there was a PennDOT number was after the fact of the 18th when the stop work order was issued from the city. So there's just, like I said, there's a lot of stuff. I figured I just wanted to share the information that I had, which has got nothing to do with the city, but it's more of PennDOT findings that were pretty alarming. And that last meeting, I was curious what information the applicant said he was given when he made the deal, because he seemed like he had all the permitting needed, but it looks like whatever he was given was false information. So I just wanted to present that to the board so you guys have that.
Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
John, question. I mean, the information from Don King today said there is a signed permit for this billboard, or it's just...
He didn't have a permit. He just said that, that the billboard, at this point, it's an existing billboard. It's been there more than 10 years. It's a non-conforming, pre-existing non-conforming use, is what he said. So the board is legal. They can't find any of the paperwork in terms of when the permit was issued for it, assuming there was one. But he said it's really not a zoning issue as to whether it's approved or denied by this board. The zoning is fine. I mean, what was submitted by the applicant, I don't think we necessarily disagree with that. It's just a matter of, is this, is a digital billboard in that location appropriate based on the city's HARB ordinance and the criteria that we review as to whether something like this, fits into the downtown historic district. And that's, that's up to your discretion, and ultimately, you'll give your recommendation to the city, and, we'll see where it goes from there, but it's not a zoning issue.
Understood. Do you guys have more questions?
I don't.
Is there a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to deny the application. I feel that the HARB has a responsibility to protect the historical integrity of downtown, and I'm not comfortable with this digital billboard.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Sorry, guys.
Thank you.
Next up, we have a few invoices here to take care of. They're both from the Scranton Times. One is for an ad invoice from February. The amount is $91.04. I need a motion to approve that invoice.
So moved.
Conrad, is there a second?
Second.
Katie, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Second is an invoice from the Scranton Times for our March meeting advertisement. Total is $81.48. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Katie?
Second.
Conrad, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I don't think there's any new business, so I will announce our next scheduled meeting is April 10th here in Council Chambers, 2025. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Conrad, second.
Second.
Katie, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Excellent. Have a good night.